Boom, and we're back. We're back, everybody. Another Tuesday night. Chat with the Muskrat, Mr. Creole Catfishing. What's going on, buddy?
What's happening, brother? We went from 20-something degrees, and now it's 70 degrees outside. So Mother Nature is off her meds. Okay, somebody needs to wrangle that in.
Yeah, it's been rough around here. We was in the single digits for a little bit, and we got a heat wave now in the 40s. So
yeah, no kidding.
Actually, we're dealing with freezing ice or freezing rain right now and ice. So you can't win them all.
What are you going to do, right?
Just to give you guys a heads up, we got Mark, who is having some technical difficulty. He's his phone's not giving us any audio, so he's going to try logging in through his laptop while we get started here. So we'll use this time to say hello to everybody and welcome everybody in. Thank you guys again for choosing to tune in with us another Tuesday night. So I got to go back and see where there we go.
Yep.
That was me. Yeah. Oh. Well, I wanted to make sure I had my my Facebook page open.
Oh, gotcha.
So I could see everybody. But going back here, I see Mike Sampson at 12:30 this afternoon said he was ready to go. Ed Jenkins in the house after that. Dead Sea Pirates Fishing. What's going on? Thanks for stopping in. And Hawk Fishing's in the house. John Boy's in the house. Uptown, Chrissy Brown, channel member. Thank you for your support, Chrissy. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. 922 Crappie Barbecue's in the house. Curtis Cunningham's in here as well. Mr. Matt Stonefly71. What's up, buddy? Harold Bolton, another channel member, supporting the dream over here. What's up, buddy? Mama's in the house. That's always good to see. That's what gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling inside.
It does.
And that's Catfishing's in the house. There's John over at River Cats Tackle. Thanks again, John. John sent me a package in the mail this week. Helped get me back to moving forward again, and as well as a couple other folks. I know. I debated about this, whether to make unboxing videos and say thanks to each and every person. And I'm going through a struggle in my head here. But Two Stands Fishing's in the house as well. Dan Barry Sports Highlights. What's going on, Jerry Parker? Lee Evans is in the house. What's up, Lee?
What's going on, Lee?
Neighbor right down the road, Jimmy Geiger. What's up, Jimmy? Along with Brandon, Catfishing Dreams. Listen while doing my physical therapy. Well, you stay true to the course and get healed up, buddy. We need you.
Absolutely, brother.
We need you well and ready to rock and roll. Let's see. Dave Garcher's in the house. Rowdy Royal. Mr. Ted Ellenbecker says, good evening, gents. Thanks for stopping in, Ted. Appreciate you. Dale Hayslip's in the house. Paul Edmonston. There's Skip Cleavery Outdoors. Skip dropped a couple good videos this week. He dropped probably the most extensive reel breakdown video I've ever seen. Nice. It's a long video, but he doesn't leave anything out. And I don't know how many videos you watch how-tos, but it always seems like the part they jump over is the part that gives me a problem. It's that one thing. It's like, oh yeah, but how did he do that? And Skip did a Abu 6500 breakdown that, I mean, every single, there's not a piece missed. So I like everyone break one of those down, put them back together, check out Clearview Outdoors. And then he also posted a PB video of him and his son. And I don't know. Nice. I'm just a big softy when it comes to father-son fishing videos. So go check him out. It was good stuff. Let's see who else we got in here. Donald Knight Sr. What's up, Don? Don helped me out this week too. He sent me some fishing line. I figure once we got everything going again, I'm gonna need some line. So some Andy Monster helped me out quite a bit. Mike Greenwell's in the house. What's up, brother? Mike. Let's see. Mikey's in the house. 205. I lost myself. It jumped.
Yep, we got 205 Wild Action in the house. My brother Jerry Parker's in the house. My new fishing buddy, Brandon Fishizzle. What's going on, brother? Good to have you in the house.
Fishizzle, also a channel member, and the big talk of the weekend, man, come pulling out a win for the Winter Blues at 0.1.
0.1. There it is.
0.1 pounds. There you go, man.
Yeah, baby.
See, we got Facebook user. Looks like it's Michael King tuning in. What's up, Michael? Thanks for stopping in. And as well as Bobby Parker. Thank you for hopping on over here. Trent Underwood's in the house. Mr. Zach Murray. We got the whole River Warrior crew. River Warriors. Oh, boy. Chad's in the house. Fields of Water. What's going on, buddy? Jeff Duvall. Thank you guys. Lance McCoo guy. There he is.
What's up, Lance?
Dad's in the house.
Mom and Dad are there. Awesome.
There you go.
Watching
Mom
on
and
TV.
Dad.
I like it.
Thank you both for the tackle bag, man. I can't wait to fill it up. Let's see who else we got.
They got Bugman 22.
What's up, Buggy?
Who else? New name is Miss Lisa Swain.
Yeah, that's a new one for me. Welcome in, Lisa.
Welcome to the show.
We'll get things rocking and rolling here in just a minute. I'm watching Mark in the background there. He's still struggling to get everything together. Gotcha. So
we'll get it, though. We always do.
Switching over to his laptop, so we'll get him in a minute.
Got Little River in the house. Let's see. My OG brother, 2 stands. What's happening?
What's up, buddy?
Let's see who else we got here. Got Greg Burgess in the house. What's going on, brother? Jello in the house. Let's see. Uncle Jeep, everybody's favorite troll.
There he is. Hey, Danny Stone's in the house. What's up, Danny?
Danny.
I don't know how he could move. I seen that video he posted just a little bit ago, or picture he posted a little bit ago, chowing down on them.
That's good stuff.
Catfish. Man, that looked good.
Rob Fox in the house. Welcome.
What's up? Let's see. Buckeye Catfishing. What's going on, buddy? Thanks for stopping in. Cat Claws Journey to the River Banks. I think that's a new one for me.
Yep, Cat Claws maker of rod holders.
Rod holders, yeah. Benoit Fishing Adventures. Man, Benoit's been blowing up here lately. I seen there's a guest on Catfish Weekly coming up. And let me see.
Pontoon Jody. What's happening, Jody? JR Fishing. What's going on? I'm assuming that's Richard. And Jamie's probably nearby. What's going on, guys?
That's it. Sorry I'm late. Just got to the Airbnb in Knoxville.
Ooh.
They're everywhere. You can't drop a pin on them because they don't stay still very long.
Nope. There's one place they haven't been yet, though.
Yeah.
My place. Not yet. Not yet. We're talking about it. It's in the works. Freddie, what's going on, brother? She says sand and foam for boards.
Oh boy. Mark's backstage. He's having all kinds of technical difficulties. He's showing him backstage. We don't have any, there's no video or audio coming out of him. So
see what Brandon is talking about there. See, apparently it's part of the guide service is when you come fishing with me, my dad also feeds you homemade gumbo and fried alligator gar and sends you home with a care package of food. So it's part of the guide service. What can I say?
15 and a half hours. That's about 15 and a half hours. We done mapped it out. Hey, there's William Matthew. Thanks, Willie, for stopping in from Facebook. Appreciate you, brother. Let's see who else we got.
I think we're about caught up. Oh, look. Test drove a new truck. Okay. Everybody's getting new trucks. I love it.
Hey, I caught a break. I thought I was going to have to get a new truck. My truck was giving me all kinds of problems. And
he said, Cool Cat says he wants to schedule his trip. I'll see what my calendar looks like. I'll see if I can book you in.
Well, see, he don't need the enclosure and all that stuff down there where you're from. You guys got it made.
I don't know. I'd have given a lot of money for a big enclosure that Saturday morning, man. That 26 degrees and 15-mile-an-hour winds. No. Look, there's Jamie. I knew talking about food, it would bring her out of hiding. See, there she is. What's going on, Jamie? Good to see you, girl.
Yeah, Bobby, let me try to see if I can pull that up over here real quick. And
hey, absolutely. Everybody's invited. Everybody's invited. I don't say no to anybody.
Hey, Bobby, if you could send me the link to that real quick in my messenger, and that way I could pull it up easy for us. And we'll talk about that for a second. Poor Mark, man, he's still back here. He's got this all set up, man. He's doing seminars and things like that this year. I'm not sure what all events he's speaking at, which one of the questions we can bring up.
Apparently, I'm going to add James to the list of the people that I can't complain about cold weather to.
Yeah. Look at there, Chrissy Brown, member for 15 months.
Wow.
Thank you, Chrissy,
that's awesome
for your support over here. We really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Catfish Code. Yo, what's happening?
He's double dipping. He got in from Facebook and on the YouTube side. There we go.
Heck yeah. I like it.
Give a thumbs up both places.
River Catfishing. What's happening?
What's up, Rusty? It's our brother Rusty Moorfield. He's got ice flowing down the river. That's not good. That's not good. All right. Mark says he's going to go back to try to phone again.
Okay.
So we're going to.
But this is the part of live streaming right here, folks. At any given time, some kind of technical bug that nobody can explain, it'll happen, and it'll happen at the worst possible moment. I promise you.
Well, I don't want to poke fun at him, but he did tell us that he's using the iPhone 5. Now, you can look at that one of two ways.
Yep.
One, that an iPhone 5 is still working after all this time. That is a long time phone. I don't know if I could ever hang on to a phone that long. So
no,
it tells you how well he takes care of his stuff. But
I'm incapable of keeping one for that long. There's no way. Mark
Mitchell says, "Let's go ice fishing." Hey, I'll tell you what. I got some pictures today from. Minnow Dunker, Tommy Long. Mm-hmm. Man, they put the hammer down on some saw guy up at Buckeye Lake this weekend.
I got the same picture, I believe, of them all laying on the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told him, heat the grease up.
If next week's guests have problems, we're going to start blaming Roger and Creole.
Everybody blames us anyway. That ain't nothing new.
Hey, we got Kelly in here. Hey, Kelly actually uploaded a video for us. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe you think we ought to crack it off now?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's hit it right off the bat, beginning of the show. Let everybody see his handiwork.
Yeah, we got about 90 folks hanging out. I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time to stop in here. But we're going to go ahead and roll this week's spotlight reel. And that way, give Mark a minute to try to get things squared away. That way, when he does pop in here, we don't have to cut him off or shut him down.
We'll be ready to roll.
We'll be ready to rock and roll. So, thanks again for this. Come to you from Kelly Bullock, and we're going to.
Starters, one of a million will reach those heights. Always to the field and then I won't deny that work. Never could toss. Look at my eyes, I'm on the rocks, rise. A couple milli now, I'm causing a commotion. I've been coasting, hear my name around the world.
Woo-wee. That was sweet.
Yep. All right. You ready, Roger? Let's see what we got here.
All right.
How about it, Mark?
Test. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. That got it. Perfect timing.
Apparently, technology is not my strong point.
Well,
hey, we got it figured out. That's okay.
There you go.
Hey, yeah, great highlight video there for Jerry Parker. It's hard to deny his capabilities, no matter where he's at. So,
love it.
But hey, Mark, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
I'm glad to be here.
Let's not do that. Let's do that.
Too much, Roger. There we go.
Hey, Mark, if you don't mind, kind of kick everything off and let everybody know who you are, where you're from, what you're all about, and then we can kind of get into talking tournaments.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So real quick, I'm a longtime tournament angler. since my first tournament was 2002. So I guess we're over 20 years now. It's a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, buddy.
I'd like to think I've learned a few things in those years. Let's see here. Started fishing, and I still do a lot of local stuff here in Southwest Ohio. I live in Dayton, Ohio. It's about an hour north of Cincinnati. Fish the Ohio River a fair amount. A lot of the Southwest Ohio lakes. The last 7 or 8 years, fished a lot of the national trails, Cabela's King Cat, and now, just the Bass Pro King Cat circuit, Twisted Cat. I fished a lot of the national tournaments, Winter Blues in the past. I didn't do it this year. Sea Arc Invitational, Mississippi River Monsters. I can't even think. A lot of all the major trails I've fished a fair amount of. Let's see here. Pretty much have placed in all those trails. Can't say I've really ever had a major victory nationally. I've had several second place finishes. Okay. But anyway, I like to think that I'm a consistent angler. How's that? Sure. I can usually do okay most of the time, and to me, that's important.
It is. That's everything.
Let's see here. As you guys know, I had the West Virginia state record blue cat till 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. I had it for about 7 years. It was a 60-pounder. I actually caught it in a king cat tournament out of Gallipolis on the Ohio River, so that was cool. Let's see here. I was the founder of the Southwest Ohio Catfish Club, which is kind of defunct now. Mm-hmm. I started that in 2002. What else? I don't know. Been around a long time. Try to keep my nose drama free. That's harder and harder to do every day.
It is.
It's hard to believe that
it is
this much drama, but there is.
Absolutely. So anyway, so with that, what I wanted to do was try to talk. I got like a quick outline. I kind of go through and talk a little bit about people that are interested in getting started on catfish tournaments.
Absolutely.
Catfishing has grown in leaps and bounds here in the last probably 5 or 6 years. The internet has not helped. I mean, it has, but it hasn't.
Yeah.
It is, made it so much easier for people to just see what everybody's doing and just do it. I'm old school. We learned this stuff the hard way and from years and years of experience. But what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about anybody that's interested in getting into some tournaments, some things to think about, some key things that I've learned over the years. And I have learned a few things at my old age. I like to think I'm getting wiser, but, that's questionable at times. So if you're good with that, I can start talking a little bit about that. And if people have questions and they chat in, just interrupt me at a break and we'll address it, or I'll have you hold till I'm getting ready to answer that. Does that sound all right?
Say hello real quick to Tyra. She's tuning in, saying hello to you real quick, and then Michael.
Hey, Tyra. That's a troublemaker. There goes the neighborhood.
Yeah, she's been in some drama this week too. She was just trying to do something nice. Again, there you go. Yeah, we got you back, girl.
You got all these keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
That have no business, or in her event, and and we'll talk about that a little bit too as a tournament angler, because as a tournament guy, it's easy to spout off and everybody wants to hear your opinion, you think, and a lot of times it's like I just have I'll type something out and I'm like, okay, this is a bunch of crap, and I'll type something up and I'll be like, okay, don't stir the pot, just let it go.
Yep.
And it's like I said, it gets harder and harder to do that every day, because there's no shortage of keyboard warriors, i.e. idiots out there that are just out causing problems. People that don't fish tournaments, and yet they have all sorts of opinions that really shouldn't mean anything, but they're just in there just trying to get a rise out of people.
Yeah. Hey, Bob Denon says hello from Facebook.
Hey, Bob. I'll see Bob next weekend.
There you go.
Be fishing the King Cat Sweet 16 tournament invitational down on Kerr Lake.
Nice.
So going down Tuesday night. We stunk it up bad there last year when they held it down in Santee Cooper. So I'm hoping we can do a little better this year.
Hey, Mike Greenwell wants to know before we get too deep, May 3rd and 4th, Cabela's down in Owensboro. You coming?
Tentatively, I'm planning on being there. Every tournament is tentative for me. You know,
Yeah.
something could happen, something could change.
Yep.
Subject to
Who
change
knows?
without notice. There you go.
Yeah.
What's up, Dave Funk?
I will say that I'm planning on being there at this point. I have a tentative schedule that I'm still waiting for a few places to announce their dates for next year and all that. But yeah, tentatively. So, okay. Well, with that, if you're interested in getting into catfishing tournaments, obviously there's a few things to think about. You know, are you going to try to get into a bank tournament, a kayak tournament, or a boat tournament? I mean, those are the three standards. Obviously, there's the majority of the tournaments are going to be boat only. We're seeing a big rise in the kayak tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And even like Tyra. So she's looking at doing a bank tournament up on Sandusky Bay this year, which would be a great thing. And that's a good location because there's lots of public access and you got a good focal point. Bank tournaments are hard to manage because of things like public access where people can go, It's not, if everybody wants to be on one spot, then that's bad. But on Sandusky Bay, anybody could catch that 25-pounder up there. So that's a great spot for that. Okay, so a couple things. Let's talk about minimum requirements real quick. So if you're going to get into a boat tournament, obviously you're going to need a boat that has a live well that's capable of supporting the fish in the watershed you're fishing. With that being said, if I was fishing Southwest Ohio lakes for channel cats, I could get away with a cooler and a bubbler and change the water a few times during the tournament. Not a problem. If I was dealing with Ohio River tournaments, where I'm dealing with blues that could be up to 40 or 50 pounds, well, now, a cooler's not going to work. I need a bigger live well. So a lot of guys obviously will take a truck toolbox and, make a portable live well, put some bubblers in there. You can bucket water in, you can bucket water out if you have to, obviously, but you need to be able to recirculate the water and do that with a bilge pump and a spray bar, something like that at a minimum. You get into like August, September when it's really hot, then obviously you're going to hear about people saying, hey, you probably need to add oxygen to that. And that's as simple as an oxygen bar and an oxygen bottle and a hose and a regulator. It's a little expensive to get the oxygen bottle, but you can buy a bottle where it's on it's like propane where you swap the tank. Once you pay for that tank the first time, every time you take it in, you give them the old what they call a 20-pound tank, and they just give you another one. So those are things to think about. If you're a boat guy, you're going to need a good measuring board. Pretty much every state in the Midwest, all the way down through the South, typically has what we call an over or an under regulation based on the states. So, for example, here, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, for example, pretty similar in that each angler is allowed one fish a day, one blue or one flathead, each allowed over 35 inches to be kept in live well. So typically on a tournament situation, those are based on 2-man teams. So whether you have one person, if you have one person, you would be allowed one fish over 35 inches in your live well. So you're at a disadvantage in most tournaments. That's why they're based up on 2 people, or if you have 3 people, it's based on 2 people having it. So very common. Most Ohio River tournaments, for example, would be a 3-fish limit. That's 2 over 35 and 1 under 35 inches. So when you hear people reference, oh, that's a good under. So that fish is, if you have a 20 pounder that's 34.5 inches, that's beautiful. That's a perfect under fish.
Yeah.
And then you still have the ability to get 2 fish over 35 inches into your live well. So just those are terms, overs and unders,
Gotcha.
very common. So obviously live well, a measuring board, a digital scale. Okay, doesn't have to be a big dollar scale. Just something that is, able to weigh up to, I would suggest you get a 100-pound scale. That's pretty common. If you get a 50 pounder, you'll probably be okay for the most part, because if it's more than 50, you don't care that it's bigger than that because it's probably your biggest fish.
It's a
not a
keeper.
big deal. Chances are you're not culling that fish out at the end of the day. So that would be okay. And some people are like, well, if I get a crappy Bass Pro or, I get a cheap scale, typically they're consistent. Even if they're off, they're consistent. And for that day, you just need to compare A to B, which one is bigger. Sometimes people use what they call a culling bar. It's just something you hold up, and it's got a clamp on each end. You put both fish on and see which one's heavier. It's just a
balance
rocking
beam.
bar, a balance beam. Thank you. That's
There
a
you
good
go.
term for it. So that's something that you could always get also. If you're going to do any boat tournaments, I suggest you have what they call culling tags.
Yeah.
So let's say I catch my first fish. He's an 8.5 pounder blue. And so I put a green tag on him, whether it's hooked through his lip or on his dorsal fin. Either way, you can use those. And then somewhere I write down, okay, on the blue tag or whatever color tag, he's 8.5 pounds. So I know which fish and what he weighs in the live well. Makes that a whole lot easier than, I caught a fish. Now I got to weigh every fish in there to figure out which one.
Been there, done that.
Right.
Yeah, we've all done that many times. Let's see here. So that's a boat. If you were a kayak person, a couple things, a kayak or a bank tournament, you would probably want what is considered a certified measuring board. Okay, which is going to be a measuring board that is guaranteed accurate. How's that? So when you get into those tournaments, they'll say, if you have a measuring board from this company, we know it's going to be accurate. They just don't want people making their own measuring boards up, because if you were in a kayak or a bank tournament, you're measuring not on weight as much as you are length. Bank tournament might be weight. But kayak is almost always by length. So just some things to think about. If you're in a kayak tournament, you need access to a phone app, what's the one all the kayak guys use a lot? I can't remember the name of it, but
I can't think
it's
of
not
the name.
Fishbrain, or it's not Fishbrain, but there's one out there that most of the kayak tournaments use.
Yeah.
And so and then with that, you also are going to need to have some access where you go. A lot of places I fish, I don't have very good phone access.
There you go. Fishing Chaos. There we go.
Fishing Chaos.
Fishing Chaos is one. Yeah.
Thank you, Stan. I was there to look for it.
So those are some things to think about as minimum requirements that you may need. Depending on each bank tournament's going to be different, whether you bring fish in a tote or a cooler. Does it have to be alive? Can it be dead? All those things that are all going to be specific to each tournament. Make sure you read the rules. No matter what tournament you're on, make sure you know the rules. I cannot tell you how many times I have brought 3 fish to the scales when it was a 5-fish tournament, or or maybe it was a 6-fish channel cat tournament and I brought 5. It happens because I'm fishing 10 different trails and everybody's got different rules, and you think you remember them, and that really gets you in trouble. So that's not in my notes, but I just talking about that. Whatever you do, read the rules, print them off. If they give you a copy, put it in the boat with you. And while you're sitting around waiting for bites, read through it and be like, oh, it's 5 fish. Okay. It's this, it's that, it's the other. this is the ending time. A lot of times you can fish till 3 p.m., but you have to be back at 3 p.m. at the range. Sometimes it's fish till 3, back by 3:30. Sometimes it's fish till 3, back by 4. And typically back means within sight of the ramp,
right?
Where people can recognize that you are there. So
I got
you. Those are some good things that over time you will learn when you get burned. Last year at the Sea Arc Invitational Tournament, in my mind, I was thinking it was a 3-fish tournament, and we threw our 4th fish. We didn't have 5. If I'd have had 5, I would have placed. So I had 4 fish, and I threw the smallest one back, and then I got there and just kicked myself. But luckily, it didn't cost me any money.
We've done that. Zach and I during tournament last year caught 5 fish in the last 20 minutes of tournaments, quadrupled up. 5 rods went down at once. We had fish everywhere. We're trying to weigh them, trying to figure out which one's which. We get to the weigh-in. This was actually Kevin Walter's tournament last year, Monster Catfishing.
Right.
Got to the weigh-in, opened the live well. There's only 2 fish in there. What the hell happened to the group? In the commotion, we threw it back.
Absolutely. And it can happen. It doesn't have to be at the end of the tournament. You can do it during the day.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine last year was a 5-fish channel catfish tournament up at Griggs, or part of the Central Ohio series. I won't mention their names. And so they had they pulled 4 fish out of the live well, even though they had 5. They pulled 4 out, put it in the tote. It was at night, so they couldn't see how many were in there. They thought they had them all. They weighed their fish, and then all of a sudden, then it's too late. So then they go back and realize, there's one more in the darn live well. So those are all things that happen, and it sucks.
Yeah,
because you're working hard trying to make things happen, and all it takes is a simple mistake.
Right.
All right, I'm going to keep moving.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about partners. So the vast majority of all the tournament trails are based on a 2 or 3 man team.
Mm-hmm.
So finding a partner is probably the single most important thing that'll be a challenge for you, because you'll be like, I'll fish my buddy Bob. Okay. And so, Bob's great for the first 2 tournaments, and then he craps out. Or, I'm short on money this week. Or, I don't have time. Or, I can't make it. My wife's got something planned, even though they tell you they're good for all the events all season. So it's really hard, because in that partner, you want somebody who thinks like you, right? Is basically pretty close to the same fishing level as you are. And that's not the biggest one, because maybe you take the lead and you're like, hey, let me show you what to do. And that's good, because in that case, you just have one captain in the boat. Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than what we call a boat bully. And that's where you bring somebody to fish with you because maybe their boat's in the shop. And as soon as they get in your boat, they just take over everything, and they act like it's their boat. And that's okay to a point, but they just bully you into changing away from your spots and what you wanted to do. And that can be a problem. If you've done enough tournaments, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Yeah. Yeah, when you find somebody to click with and you guys are on the same page, that's one of the reasons why Zach and I fish so much together. We're pretty much on the same page. We don't really. There's times we don't have to really talk.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, I fish with Ryan Lawrence. You guys know Ryan's from Nashville Cats Fishing for like the last 10 years, and so we think alike. We learned alike. So it's nothing for. If we're in Ryan's boat, he'll be like, hey, I think we should do that. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's start. That's plan A. Mm-hmm. And then we try plan B. And then after that, he'll be like, well, what do you think? And I'll be like, well, we tried this and that. Let's try some shallow stuff. And it doesn't matter how stupid it is. It's like, hey, you know what? My stuff's not working.
Right.
Let's go. And we'll give it 40 minutes or an hour. and if that doesn't work, then it's his turn to pick a spot. And then it's my turn to pick a spot. It's like, let me look at the map. Let me just try something. And I can tell you not many times, but several times you get down to like playing G and all of a sudden you find some fish in the last hour. And then you're like, well, obviously we zigged when we should have zagged and started here. Instead, in our minds, we were thinking, oh, let's go deep. And now the fish were shallow or whatever. So that's another thing. But when you get to partners, the way I have always done it, and most of the guys I know that are successful teams, is everything is split right down the middle, 50-50. So entry fee, 50-50. Ryan lives in Nashville. So if he drives 6 hours to an event in his boat and I drive 2 hours in the car, I figure out what my car gas was, and we figure out what his boat and truck gas is, and then that way we're both paying the same amount for gas. We do that all the time. Anything we win, 50-50. Because in years past, one of us would use one boat more than the other. If we won $300 and I had $150 was my half, I might say, hey, take 50 extra because you got the boat, you got wear and tear, you got tires, you got hubs, you got oil changes on your truck. There's always something. And so, if you're fishing in somebody else's boat, help them out.
That's something to keep in mind if we ever win.
Well, yeah, and you don't have to win to do it. You need to realize he's paying boat insurance. Boat gas can kill you, especially if you're on a river tournament. You may run through, $70, $80 or $100 in boat gas. So people don't think about that. They think boats run on, good looks and things like that. So,
they run on a hope and dream.
I love
it. One last thing when it comes to partners, and this is a big one, is that I'm fending off a cat back here. He's about ready to jump in front of me. Anyway, I'm sorry. Is that when it comes to bait, typically a good partner is like, hey, I got to work. I can't get out. Can you try to get some bait? Or in our case, I typically get shad here, and Ryan gets skipjack. If I get off work and go down, I may fish for a couple hours and try to get skipjack myself. There's a couple things like that. So those are all things you can't rely on one person to do all the bait catching because it's a lot of work, as you guys know. It's a whole day before the tournament, typically, sometimes. So that, those are just things you need to think about. And if somebody's like, hey, I don't know how to catch bait, be like, you know how to catch some bluegills? Bring me a bucket full of 10 bluegills, and that's a good start. So anyway, there's the cat back here.
Yeah,
that's Ralph.
Get some spring time.
All right, let's see here. Again, you need a partner that's reliable, trustworthy, thinks like you do, chips in all the time. Okay, I think we covered that a little bit. I'm looking at my cheat sheet here, so bear with me. Let's talk a little bit about equipment. So as a tournament angler, I know when you first start out, you're buying 3 packs of hooks, going to Walmart and buying individual packs of floats and peg floats and, terminal tackle, and it gets expensive. If you're buying 3 Gamakatsu hooks for $5.99 and you go on a tournament and you lose all 3 of them due to snags, you're like, man, this is killing me. And, we all started that way. What I'm going to tell you, the very best thing to do is when you figure out a hook that you like, and we'll talk about hooks here in a minute. Just, buy at least a 20 pack at a time. Try to get them in bulk. They get way cheaper. And then, like I buy my hooks 100 at a time. Roger, you probably do that. So, when you're doing that, when you lose 3, you don't bat an eye because you don't realize, oh my gosh, I'm losing this much equipment. But when you reach the point where you're like, hey, if I'm I'm losing equipment. It's part of the game. You have to get to that point and you have to accept it. And I mean, it's nothing because I like to drag baits. And I mean, man, I'm like, oh, look, there's an underwater forest over here. Let's head that way. You know, if one of us isn't constantly breaking off or retying rigs, you know, I'm not where the fish are at. You know, I'm not afraid of anything. When I started, I was like, ooh, there's trees. I don't want to get too close over there. might lose all my gear. But you know, and we all realize that it is expensive when you start, but when you get to that point, if you're scared to fish where you want to fish, then you're just in the wrong game. You've got to take your chances, and you will lose. I mean, I've lost 12 tons of sinkers in the Ohio River since I started. You know, I mean, I can't believe the EPA hasn't tracked me down. Okay. So it's just something to do. So after a while, you know, you'll buy your hooks 100 at a time. You'll go to the Catfish conference and you'll buy 50 peg floats, and you'll buy 100 or 200 packs of swivels and the little ball sack, little disposable rattles. You'll buy those in bags of 100 or 500. And that's your spring expenditure. You know, that's, you know, on your terminal tackle. When you do that, it doesn't hurt when you lose a couple. You're like, oh, I got tons more. So it's not as bad as, oh, I bought three packs, you know, for $20. And, you know, that cost me a fortune for hooks and I lost half of them. You know, I just can't afford to do this. So, you know.
So I just dropped the link because I'm pretty sure I know where Mark gets his hooks by bulk. And it's the same place I get my hooks by bulk, and that's TTI Blakemore.
Yes, sir.
I get my Diachi D85s.
Yep.
And a pack of 100. I just get the nickel. There ain't no sense in getting the red. The red flakes off anyway, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. But
yeah, and I think those are what, 50 cents a piece at that point or something?
55 cents a piece. So I just dropped the link in there for that's 100 pack of Diachi D85 hooks for $55, which makes them 55 cents a piece. Yep. I get a lot of comments when I talk about it, so I just figured I'd drop the link in chat there for those of you that are interested.
Yeah, I've been using those hooks for about 7 or 8 years. That is all you will find in my. They're Daiichis, but they've had a brand change, so they call them Boss Cat hooks, but they're the Daiichi hooks. Yeah. So love them. The 5/0s are great for channel cats. The 7/0, I really like the red ones. I don't know why. I just do.
They are prettier.
They are.
They're only 10 cents more. But
yeah, the biggest thing for me is I have confidence in it, so I do it. That's
red is a natural instinct color for fish to attack.
Absolutely. So okay, let's keep moving. Okay, but I guess since we're talking about hooks, real quick, when you are fishing in a tournament, you have to trust your equipment 120%. I mean, when you're fighting a fish, the last thing on your mind should be, oh, is this not going to fail? Is the line going to break? Is this hook going to break? Is the drag on my reel going to get sticky and cause me to break a fish off? You know, if you ever think any of that, then you need to better prep every time before you go out. I mean, you know, the tournament guy, I'm not any better angler than anybody else, but I tell people I do about 15 things better than everybody else. And they always say, well, what is that? And I say, I eliminate an opportunity for something to go wrong. So before every tournament, I check the drag. I got a little screwdriver. I tighten up all my Abu screws on the reels because when they travel, they jiggle loose, the drags change. So even though the night before in a hotel, I'm retying every rig using clean hooks, fresh hooks, double checking everything, retying everything because I'm eliminating something going bad. So that's how I look at that. You know, if I retie everything, So with that, I have 120% confidence in those hooks, in my knots, in my reels. You know,
What
making
main line are
sure.
you using, Mark? Somebody's
I'm
asking.
sorry.
What
On
main
the
line
line.
do you use?
Main line, I use combination on braid. I use vicious, and on my mono, it's actually a copolymer. It used to be vicious, and they quit making it. And so the closest thing I found that is very similar to it is the Berkeley chrome spec.
Okay.
So again, it's a copolymer line, so it's not quite mono, so it doesn't have the memory or the stretch, but it's not as stiff as say braid. And I used a vicious braid. I've used that for about actually I used that for 20 years, and I love it, you know, and it's great. So no problems with that.
I wonder if that's similar to the line that Freddie is selling on his website, that nylon mono blend that he's selling. It might be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when it comes to hooks, reels, even rods, and fishing monofilament and braid, you know, there's only 3 or 4 companies in the world that make each of those. The majority of them.
Right.
So almost everything is rebranded or copied from somebody else. What I will tell you, you know, hooks, line, and reels, you get what you pay for. I will tell you that. Absolutely.
I believe in that.
Rods, you can get away with a Zebco rod, you know, 404 rod, as long as you have a quality reel and good line. So the rods is one of the least important pieces of that puzzle. The hook is important. The line, obviously, because it's connects you to the fish.
Yep.
And then the quality reel is just as important.
Right.
So I'm a firm believer, and a lot of people will push back, especially with a lot of the small companies that are rebranding stuff. I'm not a fan of that at all. You know, I tell you, if you're going to get a hook, I don't care what hook you use, but stay away from the cheaper Amazon, made in China hooks. Stick with a name brand. I don't care what name brand it is. Stick with a name brand. They're the ones that have done all the research on the designs. They've done all the research on the styles, and you know, then other people copy it, and you know, it's kind of crappy in that regard. Plus, when people buy rebranded hooks, they're usually seconds. I'm just going to tell you. One of the big hooks out there had seconds, and people would bitch and gripe about them all the time, and you know, and they would say, "Oh, those are this brand." Well, they were that brand's seconds. So there's a reason why some of those hooks were not very good, even though they were the same.
These companies will buy them in bulk, and then they'll offset them with a pair of pliers and
you
things
don't
like
want
that.
that. Yeah,
And then they're junk.
yeah. So those are some things. Again, you got to trust your equipment. Moving on. So when you first start off, you know, you got a Mad Cat rod, you got a B&M rod, you got a shark rod you got in your uncle's garage, right? I mean, you know, you got whatever you got, and you're trying to rig them up so that you can get 3 decent rods. You know, one of them, if you're serious about getting into the tournaments, try to get 3 similar rods. That way the rod action is all the same, and you'll be able to tell if a fish is hooked or not based on that. Okay. So that's very important. It's just one of those things that when your equipment is similar, at a glance, I can tell, oh, you know, how that rod tip is acting, whether or not that fish is going to be hookable or not. Instead of me thinking, oh wait, that's my stiffest rod. Let me think about this, you know, or oh, that's a flimsy rod, and you know, oh, that fish doubled that one over, but he's if it's a flimsy rod, that's not a big deal. But if you doubled over my stiffest rod, then I know that that's a better, fish. So when a fish is biting, you just have a tough time remembering which one's which. So that's a problem. So, okay. Let's see here. What else? What I would tell you is try to learn electronics, learn to use your trolling motor.
Yeah.
Learn to use your fish finder, even if it just means finding structure. Okay. I mean, Roger, you'll probably agree with me here. The majority of the time when I'm tournament fishing, I'm not looking for fish. I'm looking for, there's a ledge. Oh, there's a rock pile. Oh, there's wood down there. I'm looking for things that, it's 10 foot deeper here than it was right behind me, all of those things, or there's a hump here or whatever. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm going to fish where I think the fish are, not where I see fish. That's just something that you'll learn over time. Especially when you're like, okay, I'm pretty sure the fish will be on a ledge. Maybe the river's high and the fish are hiding over these ledges. You just know that's where the fish are at. I'm not going to drive around all day looking for a ledge that's got the biggest fish on it. Now, I mean, I could do that. That could be one plan of attack, but typically I'm just going to go where I know these ledges are or where the structure is. So, let's see here. Obviously, things like rod holders, planer boards, topographic maps, learning how to read like a navionics map is important. Yeah. Try to do some research ahead of time before you get to a place, and just, in your mind think, okay, if I'm a fish, because I always tell people, you got to think like a fish, you got to think like an animal. Where is prey going to be? Where can I catch bait fish? If the river's high, the bait fish are getting out of the current and everybody's following them. They're moving into the up along the banks or in the creeks or in the bays or in the marinas. If there's no current at all in the river, like the Ohio River gets in the summer, they could be anywhere. I mean, they could be anywhere. And so that's where, dragging comes in, becomes a good play. So that takes me into my next thing, which is you need to learn, if you're new, obviously you start by just anchoring, casting out, fan casting around, and have some confidence on that. But at some point you need to also learn how to bump, how to back bounce, how to spot lock on something and drop bait straight down, how to vertical drift, how to drag, how to anchor. All of those things take time, and there's no better way to learn that. You can't learn it by watching somebody else on the internet doing it, even on these live feeds. You just can't. Yeah, you feel like you're there, but you're missing everything. You have to get on the water and do it. So if you want to get better, you have to fish more than just tournaments. Granted, you can start and learn, but fishing during the tournament is no time to be saying, "Oh, now's a good time for me to learn how to bump because there's current."
That's right.
You better be. You better be. You got to force yourself to go out in those conditions and say, "I am going to learn how to do this today, whether it kills me." And and I can tell you, bumping takes 20, 30 trips before you get better at it.
It takes a while.
Better at it. It's it is something that, where dragging can be easy. I mean, that's the beauty of Wheeler. Wheeler is the easiest place for anybody to go down and drag and possibly catch a 50, 60, 70 pounder, which is the beauty of going to Wheeler and why everybody goes there. You don't hear anybody saying, "Oh, I'm going to go to whatever, any other lake." Yeah. So, it's just crazy in that regard. So those are some good things to think about. Let's see here. I know our time's getting a little short here. Let me hit some closing things. Time on the water. I mean, you just have to go out and
Yeah.
Every day you got to figure out what's going on, and then you have to adjust. If you're in a tournament, you better have a time management is a good plan. So like when I tournament fish, if there's good current and we're starting by anchoring, when I put my last rod out, let's say that sixth rod goes out and I engage it and I tighten it up, I look at my watch and I'm like, okay, I figure out about 16, 17 minutes. If we don't have a fish by then or a good bite by then, man, we reel them in and we go. Now that's me. Some guys like to sit there for half an hour, 40 minutes, but in the tournament, you can kill yourself doing that. What's worse is you get these little bites that keep you going, like, oh, maybe, they got to be good bites. And when I take newbies out, their idea of a good bite and mine are completely different. I'm like, dude, I'm not even moving until that rod gets smoked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are things to think about. Best advice I would give you is fish with as many people as possible that are already doing it, because they're all better than you and they're going to teach you something. And then as you learn from a little bit, you pick up a little from this person, a little from that person, a little from this person. And then you develop your own system of how you're going to fish. Those are good things.
Yeah, Chad wanted to remind everybody he taught you everything. He knows.
He did. Yep.
A short day.
He did. Actually,
Good one.
it wasn't him. It was D. D
Ah,
is the master.
Now the truth.
Yeah. Chad's a pretty good net guy. So
There you
obviously
go.
D has trained him well. So that's been good. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Andy
Let's
Warwick
see here.
says hello. Also, he has a comment here. Stay after the tournament and learn.
That's what I was getting ready to say is at the end of a tournament, don't ask people where they fish. Just say, what type of water did you fish?
Yeah.
Why? Okay. And because most people, some people are real dicks, but most people are good. Most of the anglers are good, and they'll say, oh, you know what? We had high water. And so I had a feeling that they might be up against the bank. So I fished on brush piles or wood piles right along the bank.
Mm-hmm.
And, I hit 10 of them today and 3 of them held fish. There you go. So, you got to keep those things in your mind. What else here? Let's talk about this. So there's a whole herd of new people getting into the sport.
Yeah.
And there's this gimme attitude like, oh, I'm entitled. And people hear that and they never think it's them. But when you get out on the tournament trail, you'll find out that there's a bunch of new people. And my advice to you would be, don't be part of the problem, because there's a ton of people who have no morals or ethics out there trying to figure out a way to bend the rules without breaking them. There's a bunch of people out there that, you're set up getting ready to drag and they'll put their boat with 1 minute before the start time and they'll jump right in front of you and start dragging.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and I've talked to these people and, I confront them, because I'm just like, dude, really? Well, come on. And if somebody beats you to your spot that you think is your spot that you own, go find another spot. I can tell you
one trick up your sleeve.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Every tournament we have a game plan. But for years, me and Ryan fishing together, we never go to where, people will be like, oh man, there's high water. Everybody's going to be in this deep hole. And, everybody's fishing the whore hole is what we always call it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, we would rather get our butt whipped than go fish with the masses. In our mind, it's like, I don't care. I'm going somewhere else. I am not going to do what everybody else is doing. I'm not going to be the guy that the day before a big tournament, I'm going to pre-fish and catch everybody else's fish. People do that. And they're like, oh, so they'll see you sitting on a spot for 3 days, kind of guarding it. And if that's what you need to do, then do that. But don't go catch somebody else's fish. I mean, that's not ethically or morally right. If you got extra bait and somebody doesn't, help them out. I mean, I have given more bait to people. I have lost to my bait so many times it's not funny. I don't care, because it's good karma. You do what
it is.
You know, it's an old school thing, and there's this new school mentality that is just it's ruining catfishing. And y'all's mothers didn't raise you to be that way.
Did that last year at the gathering. I gave my bait away to a guy at the tournament, and he beat me with it.
Well, yeah, I've done that many times. That's what I'm saying. So for my plan is to catch a cooler full of jumbo shad here this weekend if the rain removes all the ice, and I'm going to supply a third of the people down at Sweet 16 with shad. That doesn't bother me.
Right.
If I have that ability, I'm going to do it, and that's the kind of stuff that when you've been in the business a long time, people respect that kind of stuff, and that's what I'm saying. When you first start out, you need to be respectful and just understand that you're a newbie, and and it takes time before you earn that respect. The last thing I will say is that a lot of new guys are like, oh man, there's a tournament down on Wheeler, I need to go down there and spend all my money and go down there and get my butt whipped. But I want to be part of that crowd. I'm going to tell you, learn to be a good stick on your home water first. Get where you're competitive on a couple lakes around you. There's tournaments on just about all the lakes spread around the whole state, or just about anywhere you can find some tournaments. Try to learn your own waters before you go somewhere else, and then try to learn that. And by fishing national trails, that's where I think that helped a lot of experience, because it threw me and Ryan into water that we'd never fished before. It's like, oh my gosh, like the first time around the Mississippi, you're freaking out, you don't know what to do. And, we had people help us, and, we asked a lot of questions, and a lot of people. I'm sure you'll, as you move along, through your progress of getting into it, you'll learn who you can ask and who you can talk to. And they're not going to, most of the people are not going to steer you wrong, because safety is the most important. I'm not going to send people. I steer a lot of people away from the Mississippi because it's not a place for a beginner to go. I mean, it is not a place to go.
I agree. That's my home waters, and I've warned a lot of people, like you're not prepared for that monster if you ain't never been on it before.
We fished a lot. We hit the Mississippi. It was like,
but between the current, even at low water in July and August, I mean, that water is still cranking up 4 or 5 miles an hour.
Right.
Sticks in the outside bends, and you get a 42 tug barge coming up river, and they're lined up behind them, one after another. I mean, man, it is no place to be. Plus, I always tell people, I'm like, once you get half a mile or 3/4 a mile away from any ramp on the Mississippi, there's zero phone service. So you better make sure you got a marine radio. Some safety things like that you learn, because if you break down, all you can do is float down, 50 miles to the next bridge, because there ain't nobody, there ain't no houses, there's nothing for miles.
Middle of nowhere.
That floodplain's 20 miles wide. I mean, it's crazy. So, all right. So with that, let me be quiet and see what kind of questions some people have, or anything like that.
Well, one of the questions I have was, talking about the difference in how you fish on tournament day versus going out and having fun, the mentality or the hustle, or, how much effort, what is it? What's the difference to you, fun fishing and game day fishing?
There's not much difference for me. I'm competitive, and if I'm fun fishing, I may be like, oh, here, you grab the rods, but I mean, I'm still doing my best to find fish, trying new stuff. That's what I'm trying, new stuff. I get something on my mind, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go here and try this, or try a new rig, or I'm trying to confirm that that I am really the fish are really where I think they are, and that's important. I don't know if you know late last year, I got my U.S. Coast Guard guide license. So I'm going to do a little less tournaments this year and start picking up guiding.
Cool.
There you go.
And try to help people learn. Obviously, I'll still be doing some tournaments, obviously, a lot of tournaments, but I'll be guiding a lot of local lakes for channel catfish and doing some Sandusky Bay and also the Ohio River. So I look forward to that. It'll be Wildcat guide service. So with that.
Wildcat.
Wildcat.
That's
right.
Oh boy.
I like it.
Now, Mark, I know you normally speak at a lot of seminars and different things. What kind of schedule do you look like you got this year?
Yeah, I'll be doing Saturday and Sunday at both the Cincinnati Fishing Expo and also the Columbus Fishing Expo. And one of the talks I'm doing is Intro to Catfish Tournament. So this has kind of been a rough draft of some of that stuff. And also I'm going to talk about myths of catfish.
Myths of catfish. That sounds like a good show.
Yeah. So that'll be good. So anyway, yeah. Real quick,
Cincinnati one this weekend coming?
What's that?
Is Cincinnati this weekend coming?
No.
Oh.
Cincinnati is in March this year. It was early last year. It's in March.
I got you.
I don't have my schedule right in front of me. Real quick, I'd like to just shoot through my list of sponsors.
Absolutely.
Because obviously I'm sponsored by B&M Poles. They've been great to me. Boss Cat hooks, Smackdown rod holders, multi-bars. Let's see, Spread 'em planer boards, Vicious line, River Rats Rear Repair. So all of those companies have been wonderful to me over the years. I will say there's a lot of companies out there that are great companies. I'm not knocking anybody. These companies have just been good to me. So their products all work great. I have that 120% confidence in it. So that's very important to me. So
Catfish Code Willie says, hope you make it to a couple of River Rats tournaments this year. It's always a pleasure seeing you.
Yeah, every year I try. I watch your stuff and I try to get down there, but there's always something. There's so many tournaments anymore. It's just so hard to.
I think we're gonna try to hit those guys this year. We've dabbled in.
They had some good. They had some really good weights. That's a pretty good stretch of river. I know it a little bit. They had some really good weights down there a couple times this year. I was really impressed. So
I don't know that stretch of river very well, but that's what's going to push me to be better. Well,
there you go. That's exactly right. Don't be afraid to try new things and new water. Just don't do it on tournament day.
Yeah, well, the Clearview Skip says Mark Wildcat Blauvelt.
Yeah, there you go. That's me. Captain Channel Cat. That's my middle name.
Captain Channel Cat. Yeah, that's and we need to do a show and talk just about channel cats because what most guys think of when they think about tournament anglers and they thinking most guys just go out and target big blues and flatheads and Mark's passion really is channel cats and he is one of the best that I know of out there that consistently catch a monster in numbers of channel cats and that's what he enjoys.
I'm gonna shift it around here real quick. Here, hold on.
Go ahead.
I got to get closer to my charger. Hold on. Before I run out of juice here.
You're fine.
Give me 2 seconds here.
I still find it strange to me that up until a few years ago, I didn't know channel cats got over 10 pounds. I didn't even know that until I started hanging out with you guys and y'all catch 20, 30-pound channel cats. That's unbelievable for me.
Yeah, more like 10 to 20s. How's that?
That's still way bigger than any channel cat I've ever seen down here. I promise you.
Well, I will tell you this: there is not out of all the species, the last thing I ever want to grab in a live well that's been sitting there resting for 3 or 4 hours, waiting to plan his escape, is about a 12 or 13 pound pissed off male channel cat. I'm telling you, there's nothing meaner because you'll grab him. He'll clamp on your hand. You're not letting go of him. He's got you. And he'll do the alligator roll and he will just destroy you. And
that's wild. And I'm on the opposite scale of that because I've been trophy catfishing for 5 years now. I've caught 4 channel cats. 4.
Oh, wow.
4
there you go.
in 5 years. Go figure.
Pound for pound, man. I think they're awesome.
Yeah, well, it never fails. Every time I go to the Mississippi, I catch a channel cat, and Ryan makes fun of me. I'll be bumping out in 60 feet of water and be like, oh,
And
there's
find
a
a
5-pound
channel
channel cat. So, yeah. So, any other questions?
I'm trying to keep up here. If anybody's got any more questions from Mark before we go, we still got over 100 people hanging out and watching tonight.
Oh, great.
I do have one question, and this is for me personally. I've decided this year that I'm going to fish my first, what I call a show up tournament. You know, I've done the YouTube live stuff and everything. I've competed and everything, but I've decided I'm going to fish my first show up tournament to represent, you know, my team asked me to represent them. But the one I chose to fish is in local waters for me. It's in the northern part of my stretch of the Mississippi, but it also happens to be the biggest tournament of the year. It is the Mississippi River Monsters in Vicksburg, Mississippi, the Mega Bucks tournament.
Oh, Mega Bucks, yeah.
So he decides that's his first tournament.
Yeah, that's going to be my first show up tournament. I tend to dive in the deep end head first, if you know what I mean. So the fishing part, I'm pretty good on the fishing part. I think it's home waters for me. You know, the fishing part doesn't really rack my brain. But what kind of advice would you give me on the kind of like what you were speaking earlier about the etiquette part of showing up to a show up tournament that's going to have all of the big dogs in catfishing there? I mean, the who's who is going to be there. So how would somebody like me navigate that arena of all these stars of catfishing?
Well, what I will tell you is one of the reasons why I chose not to do any of the Mega Bucks tournaments. I've done Mississippi River Monsters, the original one out of Memphis, I think 6 or 7 times. And that is when they allow trailering 2 hours away and then people run their boat another 80 miles to get to a spot that nobody has beat on, because for Mega Bucks and Mississippi River Monsters, something it's something I don't like is the fact that they encourage people to come all week and, we're going to have a big fish contest on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, each big fish. And so people just beat the crap out of all the water that's within a boat length ride of the ramp, because that's where they are. So people might find fish on Monday, and then on Tuesday they'll, you know, move closer and move closer and move closer, and then they realize it's costing them a fortune. So the last time I was at Mississippi River Monsters, the day before the tournament, I counted 45 boats. I think, like 45 boats, and it was only 120 boats in the tournament. Like 45 of them I saw within like 10 miles of the ramp. And that's normally where we used to always fish. Gotcha. And I was just like, okay, you know, these people are just beating the snot out of my water. And then on tournament day, you know, boom, they're, you know, damn near in St. Louis and all the way down to Vicksburg.
I got you.
You know, and they're, you know, because that particular tournament is set up where you can drive in the morning. You don't have to do a weigh-in or a live well check. So you could drive 3 hours in the morning to the very furthest boundaries. And then these guys anymore, you know, a Dynasty's got, I don't know, 50 or 70 gallon gas tank now. In the old days, the very first year we fished Mississippi River Monsters, every Pro Cat 200 or 240 had 5 gallon gas cans on the back of it.
To be able to make a long run.
And we're like, huh, isn't that weird? You know, because those guys were all running 40, 50, 60 miles away.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that's what I don't like, because what I don't like is now not everybody is fishing the same water for the tournament. Yeah. And I just don't like that.
For the Mega Bucks here, you've got to put in Vicksburg. You can't trailer anywhere. You can make a long run, but
those guys will, and you'll see where guys are running 80, 90, 100 miles in their boat, because they can do it in the morning. They can leave at 2 in the morning and take their time and get down there and work their way back. Or they figure, hey, if I get 3 hours of fishing in my honey hole where I found a bunch of big fish, I got 5 or 6 hours to get back. and that's what they're doing. And it's just not. I just don't think that that's a level playing field for everybody to be able to do that. I would rather see, like here in the Ohio River, typically, boundaries are in that same pool, for example.
Right. Yeah.
If you fish on Wheeler should be the boundary, not
Right.
Wheeler and Wilson.
Right.
And, on the same day, because one day, one lake always fish better than the other one. So, to me, as a tournament angler, I think everybody should be fishing the same water. And, if you have a smaller boat that doesn't have 100-gallon gas tank, then that's, the guys that have that will say, well, they could buy that,
Yeah.
But to me, that's just not fair. And then the fact that they encourage people to beat on the close fish, that just steers me away. Something I've learned in all these years of tournament fishing is that, I want to fish where I want to fish. I don't want to go where I'm like, man, I don't want to go there. I just, I've never done well there. I've never, you know what I mean? Because from the get-go, your brain's not in it. You've already beat yourself before you get there. But if it's at Cape Girardeau or at Memphis in the old days, I'm like, man, I'm in, because I love fishing the Mississippi River. It's very challenging and technical. And that's what I love.
Hey, got a question from Andy Ward. He's asked, do you like the big scene or do you like the local events more on tournaments?
Well, there's a place for both. I mean, I love the local tournaments because it's more at a club level. It's fun. You get on the phone and you talk a bunch of crap to everybody all day. You don't know whether to believe them or not when,
Yeah.
if they, right. And then, and that's fun. I think the club level is where everything starts and where people should really, start and work their way up. Nothing against you going to Mega Bucks for your first tournament, but that's the extreme. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And that's the only local event that I have anywhere close to where I live. So I'm limited to, let's say, the events, and because there's nothing else in my area except the Mega Bucks, and now King Cat's doing a tournament in New Orleans, and I live halfway between the two.
There you go. Isn't there a group that fishes out of Vicksburg and Greenfield or whatever?
There's a small group. They had done a tournament last year around Natchez, Mississippi, which is south of Vicksburg, even closer to where I live. They did one event last year. Had a disappointing turnout. They didn't have a lot of people show, and I don't know if they're doing anything this year. I'll be honest. Well,
maybe that's your calling.
Might be.
Start a little club group. And here's the deal. In the last 3 years, so the word got out. A bunch of us longtime guys all knew for 10 years that there was a bunch of fish down south. And now I hate to say it, it's like, really, the internet has come through and killed another fishery. Just hasn't happened yet. And then don't think the commercial guys don't watch everything we do.
Oh, I know.
I'm telling you, half the commercial guys that you see down in your area are from Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. Well, not Ohio, but Indiana, Kentucky, Illinois. If you really look at those trailers when you're at the ramp, you'll be like, huh, that's a weird trailer. It's really long. And you'll see those guys and you'll be like, well, why is somebody from Illinois down here? Well, because there ain't nothing left up here. They've taken them all. So, just keep your eyes open.
Corey Jeffers wants to know if you're fishing his event over in Gallipolis this year.
I am tentative on that one because I'm not sure. It's up against one of the King Cat events. I can't remember which one. So I would like to do it. I mean, I like fishing Gallipolis. It's a lot closer. So I'm still bouncing around trying to figure out where exactly I'll be each week, especially when there's a couple of bigger tournaments in places. But I want to, and it looks like a good time. It's a great water. King Cat last year I took 4th, and the year before at King Cat we took 4th and had second big fish 2 years ago. Or no, maybe we had big fish. I can't remember anyway. And obviously I caught my state record there, so I'm a little partial to that area.
Gotcha.
Although I will tell you, I either do well or I just get my butt handed to me down there. It's one or the other. There's no in the middle there.
Yeah, I fished against you a couple times down there. And it's feast or famine.
Well,
Stands, what's how you
Binks,
feel? Yeah, Binks tournament.
and that's always a good time too. Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Stands wants to
May
know how you feel
10th.
about online fishing tournaments. So how we do a lot of these YouTube online fishing events.
Yeah. So a lot of the online stuff, or they're online tournaments, but they're not live. How's that? Where people can go and weigh in. What I would say is if you live anywhere outside of the Alabama zone,
Mm-hmm.
the Tennessee River or the James River, you're going to get your butt smoked by those guys every time. So
Yeah.
a couple of my buddies here locally got into a couple of those and found out they were going up against some guides out there on the James. And it was like, dude, I can't, at the end of the month, these guys had 20 fish that were, 45 inches long. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm lucky to get 3 of those a year. And this guy's got 20 of them in January. How does he do that? And then you figure out he lives on the James, or he guides on the James River. It's like, so you just have to.
We freeze up?
Nope.
We freeze up.
It ain't us. You froze up.
Oh, I thought it was me.
Nope.
I was going to say I did see comments earlier, and plus I've been paying attention to these local tournaments here, where a lot of guys are going to. For folks that don't have like big live well capacities, they're doing like the kayak, weight or length regulations. So
like with the bump boards and stuff.
Yeah, the bunk boards and things like that. And so I think that's really awesome. I know that some of the Hoover local stuff up here is doing that. Actually, Bobby sent me I just lost it. Sent me a local tournament that we got here. And a lot of those, this ain't a tournament. This is a seminar. This is a teaching all day event. I'm going to fish some of those local events and head straight to Creole's waters. There you go.
Good luck. I'll see you there.
Let me, I'm not sure if his phone, he was talking about his phone dying on him. So I'm not sure if that's what happened or not.
That
we got
iPhone 5 might have finally gave it up.
Right here is a seminar coming up this coming Saturday for our local folks here. It's at Walnut Springs Middle School. What's that?
I bet his phone died.
Yeah, he dropped out completely.
Yeah.
They got speakers all day long. This is an 8 to 4 p.m. Fishing seminar. It's a $16 per person to get in, and it includes 5 raffle tickets. And
cool.
But they got everything, fishing up on Hoover. So they got bass fishing tactics, intro to catfishing by Joe Owens, trophy catfishing by Zach, ODNR, surveys and overview of Hoover Lake fishery, which would be really awesome. Sawguy tactics, crappie fishing, trolling accuracy for depth control and contact more fish. Hoover slabs, seasonal patterns and live scope, and trolling for sawguy. Also introducing the Kayak Academy. This is all day 4-session course designed some of the best fishermen around. So I'm busy. I got plans on Saturday. That would be a really good event to attend.
Yeah, it would be.
Any of you local guys, I know Justin's in here and some other local guys here as well. It'll be a good event to attend. I can tell you that I talked to Joe and Zach last year about some of the findings and some of the conversations that happened at this event last year, especially with the ODNR, and it was mind blowing. some of the information that was learned through this event. So good event. I wish I could attend it. I don't think I'm going to be able to, though. But thank you, Bobby, for sharing that with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So does Tennessee have local tournaments? Does anyone know? I'm sure Tennessee, just as well as anybody, has.
Yeah, Mike said they're all over the state.
Yep. So there you go.
Cool.
We'll give it a second here just to see if Mark's able to get back in. I'm thinking his phone died on this one.
Yep.
And man, what a great show.
That 05 just hung out as long as it could.
Was that 105?
That old iPhone 5, he just hung out as long as he could.
Yeah, buddy. Joe Hatfield is in my opinion, one of the, I don't know, just an outstanding angler and human being. I mean, he's is top notch in my book. And he puts a lot of pride and effort into these events. So ODNR attends tournaments at Hoover to tag fish as well. Yeah, that's right, Andy.
Cool.
They're there a lot. And they use information that the anglers have gathered throughout the day. So it's really neat that they're working hand in hand with the ODNR.
Yeah.
Let's see who else we got there. Making sure we got everybody.
Stan said he broke his phone with that question. Bringing up the live tournaments.
That's it.
Oh man, the phone couldn't handle it.
Yeah, Joe's awesome. Well, yeah, we got to get Joe on here one day, and Dave Funk, if you'd ever do a show, I'd love to have you on here. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He's like he's like all-time Hoover legend.
I know, right?
And he's just an awesome dude. I got to hang out with him and talk some here and there. I like Dave. See, what do we got next week? Oh, next week we got Pat with well, it used to be Real Beast. Now it's
I almost said Real Beast. Twisted
Tackle Catfish.
Tackle, yes.
Not Twisted Catfish. Twisted Tackle. That's right.
Twisted Tackle.
Thanks, Bob Denon says he enjoyed the show. The link was at the top of the chat tonight. If you guys have not taken the time to vote for your favorite talk show or your favorite or the most educational show, there's still time. If you haven't voted yet, of course, if you've already voted, you can only vote once.
That's right.
But if you haven't, links up at the top. Be sure to take time to go through and choose your favorites. Hopefully we make the list, but if not,
absolutely,
we appreciate everybody coming in no matter how long they stay. But with that, we'll probably go ahead and close things down and let you all get on out of here. Thank you guys so much. We still got 84 people and hanging out with us. It feels terrible just to go, but I know we both got to get up early and get rocking and rolling. Appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you next week with Pat. And we'll be back here next Tuesday night. Same cat time, same cat channel. Good night, everybody.